Welcome to the Build Your Reiki Business podcast. I'm Christian of Standing Stones Healing, founder of the Reiki Business Collective and creator of the Build Your Reiki Business program, sending blessings and best wishes to your Reiki business. Greetings, welcome, and thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Build Your Reiki Business podcast. I'm Christian of Standing Stones Healing and honored and excited to have you here. So thank you so much. In this episode, we're chatting about copyright and plagiarism. These are topics that do come up from time to time when we talk about Reiki business, but they often really don't get talked about. And so I want to talk about them to give you information to arm and empower you and to help you understand what your rights and responsibilities are when it comes to copyright and plagiarism topics. Now, this information is really going to focus most specifically on content creation because this is where we really see these questions come up when we're talking about copyright and plagiarism in Reiki business. The first thing that I want to discuss with you and emphasize is this idea of copyright and what copyright is. Copyright is when you create something and you are the original creator of that thing. And so as the original creator of a thing, you have rights to the use of that material. So let's say that you write a blog post. Let's say you write a blog post about Reiki and Reiki's benefits, and that goes up on your website. That article that you have written is now yours. That is your intellectual property. That is your content. That is your material. And you own the copyright to that blog post. Now, this is, of course, assuming that you are the original creator of that blog post and that you did not copy it from someone else. So assuming that you wrote this yourself, you are the copyright owner, you own that material, and you are the originator of it. You, in order to have copyright to that material, to own the rights to it, do not have to file a formal copyright filing with the U.S. Patent and Trade Office. So the USPTO, U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. You do not have to file with them in order to own the rights to that material. Once you create something in a fixed place, it's copyrighted. And so what that means is that once you write a post and you post it, write an article, post a video, that work is, once it is set in a fixed place, that work automatically is copyrighted and you automatically own the rights to that original work. And so, I have a background in writing, in literature, in teaching, and in poetry. And one thing that I would often see with some poets, on the bottom of their poem, they would write, have their name and the little C and the date. Carefully note that it was their copyright. And that is actually unnecessary because, again, once it's in a fixed place, you own the rights to it. And so once you write a post on Facebook and you post it, you own that content, you own that post, the words in that post. I'll talk about photos in a second. But you own those words. And so they are, as they are in a fixed place, they are copyrighted. That is copyrighted material. This is really helpful for you to know in the event that someone tries to claim your content as your own. And so let's say that you write that blog post on Reiki, what is Reiki and its benefits, and then you come across a post or a blog article, and you say, that sounds really familiar. That sounds like something I would say. That's my catchphrase. And you go back to your blog post and you compare the two and you're like, wait a minute, this is mine. They copied my article. Yes, indeed, this can and does happen. It is unfortunate when it does. And technically, that person who has copied and pasted your article has stolen your intellectual property and they have infringed upon your copyright. What can you do about it? So if you find that this happens to you, you can indeed do a couple of things. Reach out directly to that person and let them know that it appears as though they have copied and pasted your personal blog article, your intellectual property, and have infringed upon your copyright, infringed upon your copywritten material. And oftentimes this will do the trick and people will take it down, which is of course ultimately what you want. You ultimately want it taken down so that their article is, well, your article is not represented as their work. And so this is oftentimes going to do the trick. Of course, you can always throw out the L word. I would hate to contact my lawyer. I would hate to get my lawyer involved. Oftentimes, that's enough to scare people to get them to take it down. I've personally had this happen in my own experience. I had one of my personal stories that I had posted on my Facebook profile, and I found that on someone else's profile, and it was my post copied and pasted, except they changed, I think, 1 or 2 words. The whole post otherwise was completely my own work. And yes, you can create derivative works from a work. A derivative work is just one in which you are modifying the original work, but you need to be modifying it to the point where it's not clear that you are borrowing, using, or flat out stealing someone else's work. And so derivative works can indeed be okay as long as the essence of the work is fundamentally changed to the point where it's indistinguishable that it was that you are borrowing from that work. And even sometimes, it is okay to include certain aspects of the work that you're borrowing from. But it is not okay to copy and paste a work and just change a few words, change a few things here and there, and call it your own. And so when I reached out to this person, indeed, it was enough to have them take it down. And that's ultimately what I wanted. No further action necessary. No lawyers needed to be contacted or involved in it. And, no need for a cease and desist, which is the technical term for having someone to stop using your work. No need for that. It was simply taken down, and I was happy with that result. And so that's ultimately the goal, right? Is to have someone stop using your work as their own. But the question then is, are you doing the kind of thing that might be infringing on someone else's intellectual property. In your Reiki business, are you doing things like copying and pasting someone else's work? Are you copying and pasting someone else's blog posts? Which of course is a big no-no. And it's a big no-no not only because it infringes on someone else's copyright, someone else's intellectual property, and their creativity, but it also, I think, really sets you up as someone to your clients and potential clients that you're not. And so if you are copying other people's work and passing it off as your own, then your clients and potential clients are not getting to know the real you, and they're not getting to know the authentic you. And when they meet with you, they may be thinking, well, this person doesn't seem like the person that I thought they were, from their blog posts, from their works, their words. This person, there's a dissonance here, and something doesn't seem right. Something is off, and there isn't alignment here. And of course, we know as Reiki people that alignment and resonance are really important, and that Reiki people pick up on vibes, and they have intuition that lets them know that something's a little off with this. And so then when they meet with you, they're not meeting with the authentic you as they have come to know you. And so I think it does a disservice to our clients and potential clients when we post work that is not our own, because it's not allowing them to get to know the real us. And that's really what it's all about. When we post content, when we write articles, when we create videos, it's about educating, it's about informing, it's about helping clients and potential clients get to know us, who we are. And that helps them determine whether or not we are the right fit to help them. And so I think that we're doing our clients and potential clients a real disservice when we post material that is not our own, because it doesn't allow them to get to know the real us, to help them make an informed decision about whether or not we are the person who they resonate with to help them. So let's serve our clients and potential clients by creating and sharing our own work. Now, here's a question about sharing. Christian, can I share other people's work? Yes, you can. And the way in which you want to do that is to make it very, very clear that the work is not your own and that you are sharing it and from where you are getting the work. And so if you see someone's post and you're like, wow, this is great, I really would love to share this, the best way to do that is to click on share. Because what that does is that it contains attribution to the original poster. And so everyone can see who the original poster was, or in social media lingo, the OP. Everyone can see who the original poster was, and you're not trying to pass that off as your own. You could copy and paste, of course, but you want to make sure that it's clear who you're getting that material from, what website, who wrote it, and all of the attribution, so that you're clear that it's not your own work, that it's something that you enjoy, that resonates with you, and that you want to share. So I encourage sharing. Of course, I've had people ask me, Christian, can I share your work? Yes, please share it. Absolutely. But please don't copy and paste and pretend it's yours. That is so not cool. And what it also says is that you feel like your stuff isn't good enough. With my background in writing, my background in teaching writing, I've read hundreds and hundreds of student essays. And I can tell you that oftentimes when we plagiarize, it's because we don't know that we're doing it, number one. And so I think it's important for us to give each other and to give ourselves some grace as well, because we just might not know that it's inappropriate to do that. We just might not know that it's not okay to pass someone else's work off as our own. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. But that's oftentimes, it comes from just not knowing what the line is and when you have crossed it into illegal. And another reason is laziness. "Oh, I just don't feel like writing my own thing. I'm just going to copy and paste someone else's." Or you feel that pressure. "Oh gosh, I know I have to create some kind of post because I know I'm supposed to be posting for my Reiki business. And I don't know what to post. I'm so lazy. I'm just going to have someone else's work that I can copy and paste and pass off as my own piece of cake." That's another reason. And a third reason is just fear. "Oh, I'm afraid that what I might write isn't good enough. It's just not as good as what this other person wrote." Or my own personal stories, I don't have a great personal story to share. It's just not as good as this really awesome story that I found on someone else's profile that I'm just going to copy and paste. And so all of those things mean that we can indeed infringe upon someone else's copyright, that we can plagiarize, whenever it's something that we might not mean to do or know that we're doing, or even we just, yeah, I know, but I'm just lazy and want to just get it done. So I want to encourage us to take a different approach in our Reiki business, a non-lazy, get it done kind of approach in which we are bringing our own authentic selves to our posts and to our works, because that is doing the best service for our clients and potential clients when we show up authentically. Now, I will say that over the years, we maybe like to think that our Reiki community is better than that. "Oh, no Reiki practitioner would ever do that to another Reiki practitioner." But that's actually not true. I have indeed seen Reiki practitioners copy from other Reiki practitioners. I have indeed seen Reiki practitioners use other Reiki practitioners and professionals' content and videos in their paid courses. And so I have seen this, and not in an affiliate kind of way either, I might say. And so we in the Reiki community are not above plagiarizing and copying and using other people's content when actually it's not appropriate to do. So please be aware of that and be on the lookout for it, for the sake of your own Reiki business, for the sake of authenticity, and for the sake of your own clients. Now, why does this happen? Yes, I mentioned laziness. Yes, I mentioned fear and all of those things. But it's also done because people do it. When we see others doing this kind of thing, it makes it easier for us to do it too. When we see others copying and pasting content and we're saying, "Well, we know they didn't write that, but where did it come from?" When we aren't attributing, it's because we see it done all of the time and we've become accustomed to it. It is so commonplace on social media that we just don't even question it anymore. How many of us have shared a meme that we saw someone else share? Maybe we have right-clicked save image and sent out that meme without knowing where it came from, without attributing it. It's like a copy without a copy of a copy of a copy without an original. And so when we get into that mode, it's so easy to just be another copier in the long chain of copiers because there's no original. Well, sure, we can copy off of the person who posted it because they copied off of someone else, and we have no idea who the original creator was. that may very well be okay with the original creator. But this kind of culture, it's so easy for us to be copying and copying without realizing that we are plagiarizing, simply because everyone is doing it and it's cultural. Now, it's not only, we might say, oh, social media, it's the social media culture. Yes, and it was before social media. The internet made it a lot easier to do this. And so the internet made it very easy to copy and paste and pass things off as our own. And we can say, oh, it's the internet's fault. But no, it's not the internet's fault. It was before the internet, because self-help books have been doing this for years and years. I've read 1,500 at this point self-help, professional and personal development, spiritual development books. And I can tell you that in these books, after reading so many of these books, you see the same stories come up again and again and again. And the person who wrote the book is claiming it, writing it as though it's their story. And you're like, I know it's not their story because I've read it in 3 other books. So whose story is it? And so then we can say, oh, it's the self-help books that have done it, and they've done the copying. But no, actually, if we think about it, medieval monks were copying manuscripts, and when they would hand copy manuscripts, sometimes they would make their own slight little changes to the manuscript, put their own personal little twist on it, and so then we can say, oh, it was medieval monks' fault. Well, it's again that idea of a copy of a copy of a copy without an original. It doesn't, however, mean that we have to continue to participate in that culture. And we can indeed pull ourselves out of that and share our own stuff and realize that our own stuff is good enough, and that our own stuff is what is going to attract potential clients, because our own stuff is what is portraying us in an authentic kind of way. Now, does that mean, Christian, that we should not be sharing photos that are not our own? I can say that when I create content, it's all my own. So at this point in my Reiki business, all of the photos I post are my own. All of my words are my own. Everything, even the sounds in my videos, everything is my own original work. And that's what resonates with me at this point in my Reiki business. I will say that a few years back, I did share a photo that was not my own. And I had someone ask me, oh, Christian, is this your photo? And I was in the habit of sharing primarily, like really my own stuff. And I had someone comment on my post, oh, Christian, is this yours? And it wasn't. And that was the last time I did that. No, it wasn't. I just liked this photo. And I thought, no, that doesn't resonate with me. I don't know where this photo came from. I don't know to whom it belonged. I don't know if that person gave permission for this photo to be shared, or if it was just taken from their post without permission. And so I no longer do that in my Reiki business. Now, can you share photos? Sure, you can. There are stock photos that you can use that are available for anyone to use commercially as well. And so you can just do a search of stock photos. So many stock photos where you have permission to use them. You don't have to ask. You don't have to give attribution to the original creator. And you can just post them. And that's all okay. But I didn't know if this was a stock photo or not. I don't even remember where I got it. I think it was off of someone else's post. And so again, when we see everyone else doing it, it doesn't mean that we have to do it too. And that didn't feel right to me. When I posted it, it didn't feel right to me. And then when someone commented on it, and it wasn't because they were calling me out and was like, this is not Christian's photo. I mean, I post nice photos all the time. And so probably the person was like, oh, this is a nice photo. Is this another one of Christian's nice photos? But it didn't feel right to me. And that person's comment was like, no, this is not right. And I'm not going to do this again. And so though I had only ever done it in my Reiki business a couple of times, I didn't do it again. And that feels to me like the right decision. I encourage you to feel out for yourself what is the right decision, but to know that indeed we can run into problems with copyright when we are using other people's stuff. Now, this is such a big, big topic. There's so much more than we can cover in a 20-minute podcast on this topic. But I do just want to briefly mention that AI is really going to throw a big monkey wrench into all of this. AI is, it's going to be massive. It's going to have a major impact on our experience, our lives, and even our Reiki business. And I do foresee court cases coming up that have to do with AI copyright. So I do foresee challenges where someone will post a blog post that was AI generated, and then someone else will get a blog post that is AI generated and they're identical. Well, who's the original author of that? So I do foresee court cases involving AI copyright, especially because this is all new and no copyright laws for AI exist. And so I do foresee court cases in which this is going to be argued, and we'll see what the outcome is. But when it comes to AI generated content, I think one of the challenges with this is that there's no authenticity behind it. Now, I'm not saying don't use AI. I'm saying please be mindful that when you use AI generated posts that are generic, your audience is getting generic information. They're getting not you, they're just getting generic. And in our Reiki businesses, we don't want to be generic. Well, let me speak for myself. I don't want to be generic. I want to be authentic. And my guess is that you do too. My guess is that in your Reiki business, you want to be authentic too. And so if you do choose to use AI generated content for your Reiki business, I just encourage mindfulness of that and asking yourself, is this authentic? And can I put my own personal name to this content that I just said, hey, Bard, write me a 500-word article on the benefits of Reiki. And Bard, the Google AI platform, writes it for you, you post it, it's yours. Is it really yours? Did it really come from you? Did it come from your heart? Because I think that's what clients and potential clients deserve. I think they deserve content that comes from our heart. And so I'm sending you lots of blessings for content that comes from your heart. Please know that all of my content does come from my heart. So this podcast comes from my heart. The Reiki Biz Kit comes from my heart. You can get it at standingstoneshealing.com/Reiki Biz Kit. The Build Your Reiki Business program comes from my heart. No part of that program is AI generated at all. It all comes from my knowledge, my experience, and my heart. So you can learn more about that at standingstoneshealing.com/build. Well, thanks so much for tuning in. I'm sending so many blessings and best wishes to all of your content, no matter how it is generated, no matter where it is posted. Sending blessings and best wishes to your Reiki business. Thanks for tuning in to the Build Your Reiki Business podcast. Please like, share, subscribe, and send to a friend. Learn more about the Build Your Reiki Business program at standingstoneshealing.com/build. Sending blessings and best wishes to your Reiki business.